How is humanity going to cope through the rising of AI? Artificial intelligence, it's rising and expanding to an extent and a rate that we cannot even begin to fathom yet. What are 5 superpowers that we as humans can be aware of, nurture and retain to better go through the integration and the expansion of AI? Hi, Federica here at Lifting Consciousness. This is going to be a small series where we're going to see each of these 5 superpowers. I'll name them, and then for today we're going to focus on one of those. The approach for each of these 5 superpowers is going to go through seeing how these superpowers apply in the physical world, like through the physical eyes, and then through the experience of the mind's eyes. 5 superpowers for humans to continue to protect and blossom humanity in the era of rising AI. In no particular order, 5 that I have identified can easily be discernment, integrity, courage, compassion and unconditional love, and being present, being in the now. In this video of this small series, we're going to focus on discernment. And as I said, we're going to see the application of discernment in the physical world, so what we can see with the physical eyes, and then with the internal world, as in when it comes to the soul, when it comes to the soul experience, this part is going particularly to speak to the spiritual community, or even those people that sometimes perceive the shifts in the environment around. So what is discernment? The ability to be able to distinguish and to tell the difference between situations. This could be 2 things. This could be, we'll focus for today, on the discernment between what is good and what is bad, between what is truth and what is not true. Deception is going to be a big theme. It has been in many times of that we witness as humanity. We had big examples through the pandemic, and it's not excluded. We're going to have more chapters ahead. And so as the fine line between what is true, what is manipulated, what is true news, what is fake news, anything really, even with emotion, what is a true emotion, what is an influence or fake emotion, discernment is really going to be a superpower. When it comes to what happens, what can be perceived through the soul senses, this could be, even if we talk about the mental health space, the voices that one person hears in their mind. How can one person tell if that is true or if that's not true? How can a person discern whether the voices in the head or the emotions are for a person's best interest or not? So we're going to see about these things. Here at Lifting Consciousness, I appreciate making the distinction and creating a ground, an inclusive ground where there can be unity and not judgment and understanding, both for people that go from fit to conscious, in other words, from sort of a normal life, wanting to expand their experience of being attuned with themselves and living in peace with their soul, or just become more spiritual, and from people that instead are very expanded with their spiritual journey, although I still find sometimes tough to integrate with what is the physical reality, or to be more grounded in the bodily experience here on earth. So expect, like in a classroom, where there are different students from all sorts of life, for any age, expect a similar scenario and not a similar type of communication. I'm going to be using analogy and other things that may relate with you. When it comes to discernment, with the physical eyes, it's a bit easier to see. Although in today's society, we're getting more accustomed to see and even sometimes to hear themes as manipulation, toxic behavior. We have a better understanding of what is gaslighting, and we are at peace that there can be some people that are more accustomed just to wanting to put a good face out that not necessarily reflects what is going within. So any type of alteration of a true nature could require discernment. Discernment, as anything else, starts with the awareness. In other words, if we're not even paying attention, we're not able to even tell that there is something that needs to be discerned. Let's make a practical example. So imagine you're a painting with lots of colors and figures, and you're just walking by. If you're not either aware of the painting, how are you going to be able to discern and distinguish the color and the figures? Make sense? So in reality, it's exactly the same. And we are so bombarded with so many information, things to study, commitment, having to still play the game in this physical reality, such as earning money, produce value, work, family, taking care of our health, and anything practical and material, continuing education, documentation, anything that is needed So there are so many things that take our attention. And again, true news, fake news, it is a survival mechanism for the brain to filter so many information. The subconscious that does that beautifully, although sometimes in a way that must serve you or not as much, so that for you to allow you to focus on the things that are in your systems, many other patterns or situations are going to be filtered out. Did it ever happen to you? You've been like, people have been talking around you, maybe you were in a work meeting or people were having a conversation, and after a while, like, you realize you were neither listening, like your thoughts, your attention, your being present was completely something else. So to be able to discern the colors of the painting or what was said in the conversation, awareness and presence, it's needed first. Once we decide, okay, I'm going to direct my awareness, I'm going to look at the painting, now we have the awareness, and we can start to practice the distinguishment. So what do you notice? And expect, as when you were a child and you started to learn the color, the alphabet, the numbers, you weren't already immediately expected to be able to do, let's take math as an example, to do calculation as later on at high school. So you would start with the simple basic. With the colors, you would start with the primary color, the red, the blue, the yellow, the white, the black, and then start to notice and be aware and learn to then be able to distinguish and tell the difference between the different shades of color. So this is a skill, this is like a muscle that you can continue to practice and expect to, if you practice that with honesty, to get better at it. Discernment is no different. So as you continue to and practice observing, for example, a painting or a piece of art, or even people nearby in the real world, or for the spiritual people, the ones, even not spiritual, but the ones with, by the way, usual reminder, spirituality is just connected to the soul. Spirare, it comes from the word to breathe. So here we realize that the breathing, it's so key for life and for the soul. And if you're any person that really cares about personal development or getting better or attune more, living from a sense of being aligned with the joy, with feeling okay with your heart, with your soul, that's very spiritual. But even just doing anything that you can to learn, this is a learning experience. This is why we come here on earth. As long as you do something to get better, to learn, you're very spiritual, maybe more than what you already imagined. But this is going to be a wonderful journey of discovery for you. So within the people that have more developed senses of the soul, the discernment could be, how do I discern if I feel an energy in the room? How do I discern if that is something that it's good? This could be spiritual guides. This could be your angels, archangels, even your guardian angels, or any other type of being. There's a lot of talk about ET as well. Any type of entities, not to mention astral projection, remote viewing. So there are so many, it is really infinite. As it's infinite, what can happen in the world that we can see with the physical eyes. So is with the world that we can see with the mind's eye or our third eye. So when it comes to presences that we can feel within ourselves, sometimes in the room, that becomes even tougher to be able to discern and distinguish what are the ones that can be trustworthy and the ones that are not as much. One technique that we'll discuss in another video, it's always a test that you can practice, is always go back to the heart. So try to zoom out, close the eyes, and feel within. If it's a person, if you're trying to make a discernment, to apply a discernment, and can I trust this person? Or can I trust the situation? Or how do I know if this person is toxic or is good for me? Like, especially if there is gaslighting or there is manipulation, some people are lies. How can you tell if something is true? Now, let's make a distinction. There are a few things that you're going to be able to tell immediately right away, especially those of you who have been practicing, because again, this is a skill, this is like a muscle, so the more you practice, the more it gets better. If you are, I need to make this point, it's so important. As it's important, the awareness, so it is important to cleanse yourself, to take care of your body and also to take care of your spiritual body. If you want to, let's say, if you want to clean a room and you're using, let's say you want to clean the kitchen, you've got a sponge and the intention is to clean. You can see dirt with the physical eyes on the sink that you want to clean, but you cannot clean a sink with a sponge that is full of dirt and has not been cleaned. Like you're not going to receive the desired, to achieve the desired outcome. The sponge needs to be clean. Before to be able to tell, the body's a vessel, the body's an antenna, or a crown chakra, like we are the receiver, really, for information that comes from all around, all the way from source, universal intelligence. So the human mind is receiving information, not conceiving. For us to receive better in a way that is free of interferences, we need to stand guard to the awareness of our soul and continue ongoingly doing that work of cleansing within. There can be meditation to go through the energy center. Intention always win. Intention is the first thing that you use to create and shape reality around you. Although, let's brace, as we experience, we hear from others, and we may even experience from ourselves, that things are not as easy to tell sometimes. So our ability to have integrity, be courageous, being present in the moment, being compassionate and unconditionally loving, and being able to discern and distinguish reliably, these are going to be so precious and so needed moving forward. It's like when you play a video game, and sometimes you have your checkpoints, and the levels that you go through are going to progressively increase in their difficulty. So there are skills that are like the checkpoint. So if you fail that mission or that lesson, you're going to go back to the checkpoint. Once you achieve, for example, that stage of knowing how to attune to your heart, knowing how to tell what is good for you and what not, that is a skill that you have now learned. This could also be meditation. It could also be the capacity to observe your breath and be able to notice your thoughts and be able to tell what is something that is a speculation. You're worrying for something that is unnecessary. Like you're worried for something that doesn't come from you. It's something that you have perceived from other people, and perhaps because of rushing too much, you need to realize that neither comes from you. So as you continue to apply this discernment through practice, this is going to be your checkpoint. The first time that you try to develop that skill is going to take longer, but once you earn the checkpoint, maybe you have to brush it off and refresh it a little, but that's going to be okay. It's going to be much faster for you then to move forward from that. And then increasingly, next checkpoint and next lesson and so on. When it comes to the discernment with the physical eyes, again, we can do that. So we were saying there are a few things that can be tell immediately right away if those are true or not. If you have developed more skills within your soul senses, then you may relate to, you have that gut sense. You immediately can feel in your stomach or your heart or your skin if something is on or off. We explained in another video that technique of being in the heart, of how to live a happy life, how to make decisions for yourself. Sit with yourself, close the eyes, say you have option 1, option B, these two options, one at a time, distinctively, allow them to sit in your heart within you, or the gut, depending of what is, this could be different for a few people. What is the body center that you use the most, that resonates the most for you, that you have observed to be the most reliable in your experience in this life, that is good for you to make decision. Again, some people may be like, I'm going to make a few examples, I feel my heart expanding, or I feel like my skin, my cells shrinking, and I know that's a no. When I feel expansion, I know that's a yes, I know that's good for you. I know that's good for me, I know that feels true in the heart. Some people feel like the gut. It's like, I know, I just felt it. Like my gut, like I've got that sense that it's like, go for it. And this is something that is true. This is something that resonates for me. Oftentimes, it really always requires that step 1 of awareness, of allow being present in the moment and give it time to sink in. For you, the longer you spend in silence within yourself, to discern and check with the senses within you, the senses of your soul, to be able to tell if that is something that is true or feels off, and then make your decision, go out in physical reality and see, like your judgment, was that reflective of then what turned out to be true or not? And you can sort of progress and increase. So you're also going to be able to tell and discern when you were right and when your senses were off. And by creating a memory or a track records of those experiences, like you're going to be able to tell. It's like when you measure any type of results. If you're on the gym floor, it's no different. You may like think you're doing things right, but ultimately if the data, which could be your body weight, your performance, if you're preparing for a competition, the result, if those data are not aligned, then that is an opportunity for you to see that maybe first start reconsidering something that you were doing. It might need some polishing, or sometimes it's the situation that was not appropriate. So these are also areas for discernment. Without branching too much off, many other times, discernment may require time. And this comes with lots of patience and trust in the self and the situation. And continue also that consistency of practicing that skill, of sitting within yourself and continue to notice. So just observe, distinguish what elements can you distinguish? What thoughts can you notice and distinguish? What emotion? How are you feeling about it? What are the trends and the patterns that you see reoccurring and representing in your life? If it's in the spiritual world, I'm using this label just to make as an umbrella term. It can mean many things. I'm going to make you a practical example so it's a little bit more clear. What I hear from friends and people that are more wide awake with their psychic senses, which just means the senses of the soul. So the ones that are more intuitive or can see things with clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, sometimes hearing voices in the head may really lead to different scenarios. So for example, if you hear, and this, by all means, this video does not substitute medical advice. For some people, and in many cases, it's always good and recommended to reach out to a professional. There are psychosis, there are chemical imbalances, there are many situations that really require further specialized advice and assistance. So if you experience being overwhelmed or being confused or hearing voices in your head, in your mind, and just being very distressed, go ahead and seek out an experience. Here in Australia, New South Wales, there are so many services that are also free, hotlines and services online. So that really that are accessible for anyone. Some are prices to access, but there are so many free resources. So number one, if you apply to that category, if these words are speaking to you or any person that you know, let go, put any type of shame or concern or fear aside, and just don't be hesitant. Feel very welcome to reach out to those hotlines because they are designed to be there to help you or provide advice. So back to the example. If one could have to hear voices, for example, there are sometimes voices that guide you. For example, this is right for you, or this situation really go to this location or go to this event, and you have that increased nudge different from other situation. And when you go and show up, maybe you meet a person that was so important for you to meet, or ends up being then your life partner, or you end up meeting someone that is going to offer you a job. Something similar, something special happens. So that could be an example of you have the experience, you have the discernment, or in this case, the intuition, you go in real life, you follow through, and there's a positive experience. That could create a linkage of trust between what you felt and then what expressed in physical life. But it's not always this simple. And this is where discernment comes to play, and also non-attachment. It's so important. If things don't go as you wish to, as you were expecting, don't beat yourself up. Again, these are challenging times. So as in the video game stage, expect that the level could increase. If you hear any voice that is guiding you, this happen. Like also when we do, those of you that are going to open more and more the soul, the psychic senses, when you open physical doors, it's easy to see that makes sense for all of you, yeah? Within the word of the senses and the energy, there also are doors and portals. So when opening up and inviting, which could be inviting something for the greater good, there might be situations where one could say, I'm perceiving something, I'm perceiving energy, I'm perceiving like a sensation of brush on my skin, or even underneath the skin, or maybe a voice, or a sensation of shiver or cold, that with a sense that this feels off, that with a sense that this is uncomfortable. Now, two things may happen, many may happen, but let's pick two. You're just, you are not used to this type of communication and senses, and so because you're not accustomed to that, you completely go off. So you don't give yourself neither the chance to evaluate whether that's good or not. Option two. So you're a newbie, you don't know, you just shut everything off just to be sure. It's a protection mechanism for your survival of the ego. We'll see another time. Option number 2. You know, there is a beautiful communication. You have reached that level of peace and coexistence between the ego physical mind that is there to protect you and to guide you in this physical experience and the soul. And that in a genuine way, that sensation felt off. So maybe truly that is not something, maybe it's that an intrusion, like there's good and bad, good entities, not as good entities. Polarity is part of this experience. Intention and that cleansing within, like in the analogy that we did of cleaning the sink, this is so precious. There are cleansing chakra meditation that one could do, or even just the intention and reclaiming with the words. For example, only light and love is within my body. I like to say, I call in for light and love, and only for light and love in every cell, energy, frequency, vibration of my body, and also within my auric field. Like, you may have senses. It's like, imagine being like in a bubble or walking around with a hula hoop, and that's your auric field, the energy field around you. So it's like our boundaries, the perimeter of the physical body may finish with my skin, but then the energy body and the senses is like a sphere, is like a bubble around you. And you know, because sometimes, even if you have never intentionally paid attention to these things, there might be those situations where maybe you're in a room and you feel that something is off. Like maybe there are some energies, or maybe there's another person. It has nothing to do with what you see with your physical eyes, but what you can see with the energy senses, and you feel that something is off. And this is also something that your auric field, that your energies can pick up. In the example of, for example, hearing the voice, I heard this from a friend that spiritually awakened, that had participated into an event. What I said before was the preface to this. So with the intention to opening up space and doing a meditation and doing the breath work and calling in for good things, but when participating to these group events, if you're very empathetic or very open spiritual, then people may start to release also trauma and other entities that may have been attached. There are a lot of people in the spiritual world that like to tell and like to speak only to the positive, that everything is light and love. And although I very much agree with that, I'm also going to join the stream of teachers or people that like to leave space for the reminder, hey, we live in a world where we agree there is polarity, there is duality. And so it's our opportunity then to discern to what feels right and what doesn't. And as everything, please, even with this video, take what serves you, what resonates with you, leave the rest. Maybe consider it, leave it aside, continue on your journey. Maybe in a few years' time, something may resonate a little bit more. It's for you. It's your freedom of making decision. I'm just gonna say, sometimes you may feel off, and these are also like new colors then you can add to your toolbox, that when you discern, you are expanding your capacity to say, okay, how many more elements I know can exist, so my ability to discern and distinguish can increase in a way that serves me and that enables me to better navigate what is going to happen with humanity, even with integration of artificial intelligence and any other things that may develop in the upcoming decades. So this person opened up. When with beautiful intelligence, when with beautiful intention and emotion, reached bliss and art coherence. And although in this beautiful opening and inviting beautiful things and beings to come in to assist the experience, in the days straight after the event, started to experience something that was really not pleasant, as in voices in the mind, even saying things such as, the window is open, jump out of the window, jump out of the window. Now this is a very healthy person, even mentally healthy person, wonderful person. These things can happen. Again, if you're robbed, if you're on a bus and someone is taking your wallet, it's easy to see with the physical eyes that can be people, physical people, not with as good intention. This is normally accepted. In the word that we cannot see with the physical eyes, but some people also have clairvoyance, so they can also see with their mind's eye. Some people just have clairsentience, so that feeling something is off. Clairaudience, you can hear the voice. Claircognizance, you just have this sense of knowing. Maybe you don't hear like an external voice, but in your mind, it's like You can sort of hear it and know it as if that was your thought, but deep inside you know that is not coming from you. So how do you discern in that scenario? And this is something very important where you need to pause, stand guard, check, is this good for me or is this not? And it always comes back to you. You can take responsibility of what you're going to do next. What if this is true? What if this is not true? Example, this voice is telling me to jump out of the window. Other times when I hear avoidance, that might be my good intuition. And if I went on and followed, that produce good outcomes. But this is where you're really invited to stand guard every single time. Because something may have changed, or maybe you had done an energetic cleansing, Reiki, any other type of spiritual work, or even just without doing anything, something might have changed or shifted. So these things can happen. Like, don't be, by all means, cultivate your intention. But at the same time, naivety may not be the best way to go. It's your choice, but I'm just saying, be aware that things may happen. And so it's so beautiful to reclaim your position, to reclaim your power of decision making and taking responsibility and discerning in every moment, that whenever you hear or perceive a thought, a sensation from within, you want to be present in your heart and your soul to make a good decision. Is this good for me or not? Like in that situation, that person had then the sense of like I know deep inside, if I sit with this thing, like I'm hearing that it comes from my mind, but then this doesn't feel good. It doesn't sound any reliable. It doesn't sound any safe for me to jump out of the window. And so she went out and seek out for help. There are people that are that have sincerely a good soul and are trained spiritually, so to assist in these sort of like psychic attacks, for example. And she was able to then go back to normal. And those voices, those energies, those entities, whatever that was, never came back. So this is an example of discernment. Discernment could be like there are people that are guided and feel intuition in a good way that may channel source or their spiritual guides. And so this could be creativity, this could be anything good. The point of this video is really discernment. It's a superpower. And because in this life experience, what we come to do is to get better, to learn and to expand, it would make sense that every challenge is going to be in a way superior than the precedent one. It's like fantastic. Like you've passed elementary school grades, now off to the next one. You've done the degree, master degree is going to have new challenges and so on. So if you feel overwhelmed, give yourself some compassion, continue to stay courageous and continue to look forward. Just know that deep inside, these are not topics that people like to talk about as much. So it may be rare, but I want to create a space to see, like if you're going through these situations and you don't want to look at those, you're not dedicating even time to be aware, to then discern and distinguish better, rest reassured and do not feel alone, because we're all in this together for real, as in it's the same experience that we go through, and there are many that feel this shit. Maybe a few people are better able to articulate it, other not, other are aware of what's going on, other are not aware but just feels, they may just simply say, I feel off, I feel very off these days, I don't know what is going on but I feel off. Other would be able to tell you. I'm saying it is a thing, and regardless, discernment, it's so needed in every single situation. Whether you want to discern if a person is authentic or not, whether a news that you're hearing, it's just propaganda, or it's true, or it's a scam, whether a thought that you have in your mind or an emotion, it's guiding you in a reliable way for the best interest of your highest good, or it's something there that is a speculation, or it's something there that is influencing you in a way that's not good for you. The power of discernment is within you. What feels right with you, that most likely can be the right path to follow. And again, it's a skill. So the more you practice and the more you're gonna become better in discernment and distinguishment. For today's video, that was all. Thank you so much if you stayed till the end. Leave a comment if you wanna share what is your experience with discernment. What have you learned? If you learned something new, we'll see the second one of the 5 superpowers in the next video.